I went through a severe depression years ago. It affected my marriage and my wife and I separated for about 11 months. After a lot of therapy and communication, I moved back home. She had a relationship at that time. She says it wasn't an affair because we were separated and on our way to a divorce. This is accurate, the divorce, not the affair. My position is that we were still married, so it was an affair. We've been working hard to make our marriage work for 7 years. The guy died on Thursday. His funeral will be this coming Wednesday. She wants to attend. I said that if she goes, I won't be home when she returns. I'll be taking my stuff and my dog and leaving. She says I'm being unfair to ask her not to attend the funeral of her friend. I think the guy was a piece of crap to act on feelings he had for my wife since they were in high school. I'm mentally okay and this isn't making me spiral or anything. I just think it's tacky and disrespectful towards me. Am I the idiot for telling my wife that if she attends her affair partner's funeral, I won't be here when she gets back? Maybe I am an idiot here, but if you're separated for almost an entire year and you're on your way to a divorce, is it cheating if you guys start seeing other people? On the way to divorce, for me, means separate homes, possibly lawyers, and divorce papers were drawn up. You haven't stated how far you guys were in the divorce process. Yeah, this reeks of the divorce papers weren't signed yet, so she was still mine. I guess it could be interpreted as cheating if they mutually agreed that neither of them would see other people until things were finalized in case of a reconciliation. But that's not what it sounds like. It sounds like Opie's wife was clearly out of the marriage when she chose to see other people and they got back together. What she did during that time is something he can choose to live with or not, but continuing to call it an affair and using it to assert control over her 7 years later is unhinged. Yeah, the working hard on our relationship for 7 years part is what gets me. Another thing that I haven't seen comments point out is that she's known the man since high school. I hate the way OP put friend in quotation marks, as if somehow because they dated during the entire year that they separated, it negates the years, most likely decades, that they'd been friends. They'd known each other since childhood, and now he's dead. I honestly think that Opie's wife would be much better off if she went to the funeral anyway and came home to an empty, peaceful house. He claims that his mental health is better, but in this whole post, his attitude towards the entire situation screams otherwise. OP, when you give an ultimatum like that, you better be ready to live with the consequences. And if you're at the stage of ultimatum, you're done. Just file for divorce since you're both going to be unhappy anyway. You likely won't get over the affair. Your wife likely won't get over you, barring her from her friend's funeral. The marriage was dead long before the funeral. I, 20 female, have autism, and one of the things I do to decompress after classes is sit on a swing in a park and listen to music or podcasts. The park near my university has a swing set that is set apart from the jungle gym, and I like to use it after classes. If kids come up to the swing set, of course I get off and let them have it. It isn't a big deal. 2 days ago, I was at the park with my headphones on and saw a couple of kids make a beeline towards the swings. They were preschool age. I stopped and got off, sitting on a bench nearby and playing some games on my phone while they used the equipment. Their mom was pushing a stroller and got a phone call. She left almost immediately after, getting in her car and driving away. I walked over to the stroller after 5 or 10 minutes and there was a really new baby inside. I got scared for the baby and the toddlers and sat on a bench closer to the stroller to watch the baby. I set a timer and told myself I would call the police if she was gone for another 15 minutes. She came back 12.5 minutes later according to my timer. She yelled at me for sitting near her baby and accused me of trying to kidnap her children. I told her she was a terrible mom for leaving her children alone at the park and that something could have happened to them. She asked if I had children and I told her I didn't. She then yelled at me about how hard being a mom is and said that if she wanted to grab a coffee and treat herself while her kids were busy, she could. Now I feel awful. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong, but as I mentioned, I'm autistic and I don't understand social cues as well. Did I do something wrong? What should I do differently if this happens to me again? Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. OMG, she is a horrible mother. When reading the part about her getting in the car and leaving, my jaw hit the floor. Who does this? The kids could easily have been taken away. The toddlers, how many were there, could have had an accident and required a trip to the hospital. I would have called the police immediately when she got in the car and drove off. You were being the responsible party in this scenario. If she wanted to grab a coffee and treat herself while her kids were busy, that she could. No, she cannot. Mum, What she did is blatant child neglect and abandonment, and if you call the cops the second she drove away, which you absolutely should have, at minimum she would be dealing with CPS, but more likely would have been arrested. You, 1000%, cannot drop your young children off at an unsupervised playground and leave them there while you hop through the Starbucks line real quick. What in the world would she need to get that leaving her kids unattended at a park is a better option than bringing them with her? That's what a damn drive-through is for. The kids could be in the car with her while she got it. Honestly, I don't think it was coffee. You were absolutely correct, and she lashed out at you because she got caught breaking the law and neglecting her children. The idea that only a parent can recognize and criticize bad parenting is absurd. There's even a saying for it. I'm not a pilot, but if I see a helicopter in a tree, I know someone messed up. You don't have to preface this post with "you have autism." Don't bring it up as a reason for being by the swings. It's not necessary. It's fine that you're decompressing after class in the park. Mom was a horrible person. Good on you for calling her out. My 36 male wife, 37, said she would plan something for my birthday. She asked if there was anything I wanted to do and I told her no. At 36, I don't have any expectations for my birthday. We've been together for 10 years, married for 7. We have 3 kids, all kindergarten and preschool age, so planning activities can be tricky. Traveling is tough and staying in uncomfortable places with kids is stressful. So my wife plans something, packs an overnight suitcase for everyone and loads up our van. We drive 1 hour 45 minutes to a small town, then take a long, rocky, narrow road to a tiny cabin Airbnb in a remote, heavily wooded area. It's a single room with a galley kitchen, 1 bed and a pull-out couch. It's cramped with 3 kids. There's not much to do, no walking trails and nowhere to drive except back on that awful road. I'm asked to drive back to get dinner from a nearby bar. I'm surprised and not in a good way. I don't say anything bad about the property, but I can't hide my feelings, and she can tell I'm not a fan. We unpack and walk around. She has some gifts for me to open in front of the kids. We have cake and spend 4 or 5 hours trying to pass the time. The highlight is sneaking in a quickie in the outdoor bathtub. After that, we go through the tiresome routine of getting all 3 kids to sleep, which is extra hard in a tiny cabin. By the way, I sleep on an air mattress because our youngest co-sleeps and needs mom at night. We wake up early because the cabin has no curtains. My wife tells me we're going to do a 5K bubble and colour run. I smile and say, okay, let's do it. Not wanting to sound disappointed, but probably failing to hide it. I'm not a runner. I've never said I wanted to run, but whatever, let's try it. We pack up and head to the event. It's a small, cheap event on a hot day. Our 2 youngest don't want to do this, but we start the race anyway. Our oldest takes off, causing us to lose him twice. I frantically try to catch up, ending up sweaty, winded, and with aching knees. Not fun. After my wife finishes with our other 2 kids, we walk around a small street fair and let the kids play. It's fine, but I'm ready to rest. My wife tells me we're supposed to meet friends at the beach later, so we have a 2-hour drive back, hoping the kids nap in the car. I take a nap, feeling quiet and not in a good mood. We get to the beach and 2 of our kids start melting down. I'm done with the day and would prefer to be home. Eventually they chill, we find some shade, and it's fine. When we get home, it's a mad dash to get the kids showered and in bed while I unpack and clean the car and house. My wife asks what's wrong and I tell her I appreciate her effort, but it didn't feel like she planned it with me in mind. I don't like running, I want comfort when travelling with the kids, and it was exhausting. It was a lot of effort for something not enjoyable. She flips out, devastated that I didn't enjoy it, and angry at me for not just being grateful somebody planned something for me. OP, as another non-runner, I am not the idiot. I'd be dumbfounded if my husband organised for us to go for a family 5K run for my birthday, no matter how colourful or bubbly it was. The ultimate question is, what did she plan for you? After 7 years, if she knew so little about you that she couldn't envision you wouldn't enjoy it, that says something about her. Don't fall for this BS. She planned this for herself, not for you. She got a bed, you slept on an air mattress. She got to finish the run while you were childcare for the straying kid. She made you do all the work and drive around to get the food. This was for her, and you were the support person for her fun. Your wife had a nice birthday trip, except it wasn't her birthday. You are the idiot. You're being disingenuous by saying you have no expectations, but also complaining that it didn't feel like she planned it with me in mind. You have expectations, it's just that you don't really know what they are, but you kind of expect your wife to know what they are. I think it's very poor communication. In the future, instead of answering no to "is there anything you want to do for your birthday," which leaves the onus completely on her, truthfully tell her "I would prefer a relaxing day at home," or "let's not plan anything," or "I like to do X, Y, and Z. I feel bad for your wife. Nothing is good enough for you and the kids are a burden to you. You should be grateful she did so much for you instead of complaining on the internet. You sound spoiled and selfish. I don't understand this mentality of partners expecting to read each other's minds and then being annoyed and ungrateful when their partner tries to do something nice. Appreciate the small moments or organize something yourself next time. I'll start by saying my sister hosts a dinner party at her house every week, every Saturday. We are not from America, but our kids were born here, so they enjoy pizza and burgers. I usually don't want to come empty-handed, so I always ask my sister if I could bring pizza for the kids. She always agrees and has no issue with it. I have noticed her daughter avoids eating any of it, and when I ask her if she's going to take some, she always responds with, "I don't eat processed junk." Her mother is aware of her saying this, but never corrects her behavior. This is the reason I always ask her mother if it's okay to bring it, and yesterday I mentioned that her daughter doesn't seem to like pizza. She says it's fine to bring it anyway. Yesterday, the same thing occurred. I offered her once again and she made a rude comment. This time, however, my son responded to her. He told my niece that she could go eat grass like cows if she was so healthy. Other kids were laughing and some adults mentioned how the little kid was protecting his mother. This resulted in my niece crying and her mother took her to the side. The entire dinner night passed with my sister not saying anything until after. She calls me and says that I should have made my son apologize for his insult. At this point, I'm also irritated and I tell her that the past few times her daughter has made rude and unwanted comments right in front of her and she's done nothing to correct them. She then says that her daughter has never made my son cry and embarrassed her in front of everyone. My parents agree that my sister must correct her daughter's behavior. Info: so why do you keep asking exactly? And why do you need protection from a kid who doesn't want to eat your pizza? Seems like you're taking this a little personally, don't you think? Also, it sure sounds like she's picked those phrases up from her parents. Is this really about you and your sister by any chance? You are the idiot. Leave your niece alone. You bring pizza every week. Every week you ask her to take some. Every week she says no. Stop asking. Let her eat what she wants. She hasn't told you to stop eating it or made any comments not in response to your harassment. The only reason your son made a mean comment was because of your inability to accept that you should have no opinion over your niece's eating habits. Apologize to your niece and let it go. I find it wild that OP and her sister are arguing over your kid should be punished for saying that, but the kids are clearly just echoing the words they heard come out of their mama's mouth. OP, take this up with your sister and leave the kids out. Your son didn't create that sentence on his own. He heard it from somewhere. You should stop teaching your son to think it's acceptable to make others feel bad about their own food choices. The niece says, "I don't eat processed trash." The equivalent thing for your son to say is, "I don't eat nasty vegetables." How would you feel if your niece looked at your son and called him a garbage-eating lard, and then everyone in the room laughed at him? It's messed up, right? Well, that's just what happened to your niece. I, 19 female, and my sister, 18, will have to move out in under a year as my parents are selling the family home and travelling worldwide. My parents decided on this plan of her and me living together, and in doing so, we would only have to pay the rent for one place instead of two. They've offered to pay for our rent as an apology for selling the house. I spoke to my parents in private and explained that I wouldn't want to live with my sister. I also provided some pretty good reasons for this. She is incredibly messy and will not clean up after herself unless you bring it up. If you bring it up too often, she starts crying and will make a ton of lame excuses as to why she couldn't do it. She mentioned previously that when she moves out, she wants her friends over as often as possible and wants to have a place to pre-game before clubs. She can't cook very well, so I guarantee I will be cooking for her or at least helping her whenever she needs help in the kitchen. She doesn't like to share, so I'll probably be stuck in my room as she will take over any lounge space we have. She also doesn't like compromise and both of our aesthetics are completely different. I know that she would get her way and I would hate what the apartment looks like. I would also get the smaller room as she would demand the bigger one. My parents told me I was being unfair and wasting a great opportunity of a free place to live. My sister has also discovered this information and is angry that I'm throwing away free rent. I suggested they pay half of each of our rent and we live in separate places, but they won't agree to that. My sister is mad, and I'm 100% the reason we're losing out on this great deal. Am I the idiot for refusing to live with my little sister? Not the idiot. Your suggestion that your parents pay half for each of you is a good solution. Why would they refuse? Because they want you to take care of your sister? A free place to live is only good if you enjoy living there. Doesn't sound like living with your sister would be good for you at all. Of course she's mad. She was going to get everything that she wanted, including a maid, bookkeeper and live-in putts, until you put the kibosh on it. Guaranteed, if you go against your instincts, you will regret it. You know how this will end. Sometimes there's a high cost for free. Girl, let me rephrase that for you. We want to sell our house so that we can have fun. We want you to take over the parenting of our other adult daughter because she's a hot mess. We were thinking that you could pay all the bills, clean, supervise her because she's irresponsible, and drive her around. We expect full adult behavior from you, none from her, please and thanks. Parents need a reality check and the sister needs to grow up. That's what I'm thinking as well. Your sister sounds exhausting and horribly dependent. Your parents are sick of her, though they created the situation, no doubt, and are offloading her onto you. Stand strong. You have zero obligation to put up with her bull. Find your own place, make your own life. Go low contact with sis and parents for a bit and find yourself. Good luck.